Does sunscreen block our ability to get vitamin D from the sun? Should we be concerned about not getting enough vitamin D if we're wearing sunscreen? Hello! Okay, I feel like I need to address the fact that I said my next video is going to be about mindful eating, and clearly this video is not about mindful eating. I just found this topic really interesting and feel like I had to do a video on it, and a lot of you guys on Instagram told me that you were interested too. If we're meeting for the first time, hello, I'm Kritika. I'm a registered dietitian and I have a master's degree in clinical nutrition. And today we are going to explore a pretty convoluted topic. I'll admit, I thought I had all the answers here. I thought this was going to be the most simple video I've ever done, but boy, was I wrong. So let's go on this adventure together. We're going to explore what the research says about this topic, what health authorities say, and then I'm gonna give you my professional opinion based on all this information. What should we start doing in our life? My life, your life, what should we do? First of all, to understand the effect of sunscreen on our vitamin D absorption, we have to understand, how do we get vitamin D from the sun? Is it that the sun just hits our skin and voila, we got some vitamin D? Unfortunately, that's not how it works. So let me tell you how it does work. I drew this beautiful diagram for you guys to explain how this works. So from the sun emits these UVB rays. Once it hits our skin, it actually hits a compound in our skin called 7-dehydrocholesterol. This reaction creates cholecalciferol. It's not yet active. Then this cholecalciferol travels to the liver and gets converted into something called calcidiol. Then we travel to the kidneys, and in the kidneys, calcidiol is converted to calcitriol. And now we are at the active form of vitamin D. This is also known as 1,25-dihydroxyvitamin D. As you can see, there are multiple steps in this process of converting the UVB rays from the sun to an active form of vitamin D that our body can use. Back to the video. A broad spectrum sunscreen blocks both UVA and UVB radiation, and ideally that's what you want because both UVA and UVB radiation is damaging to our skin. SPF 15 sunscreens filters out about 93% of UVB rays. SPF 30 filters out about 97%, and SPF 100 filters 99% of UV rays. So even if we wore an SPF of 30, and 3% of UVB rays are still hitting our skin. But is that enough to produce enough vitamin D? When you're applying an SPF of 30 correctly, you get the equivalent of 1 minute of UVB rays hitting your skin for every 30 minutes you spend in the sun. So 1 hour in the sun is the same as spending 2 minutes totally unprotected, and you get the 2 minutes of UVB rays. Is that tiny amount of UVB radiation enough that we can rely on the sun for vitamin D and wear our sunscreen and not have to worry about it? Sunscreen is a factor that affects UV radiation and vitamin D synthesis, meaning the creation of vitamin D. Also, UVB rays don't penetrate glass, so exposure to sunshine indoors through a window does not produce vitamin D, since vitamin D needs those specific UVB rays to be activated, like we learned. If you're wearing a sunscreen of less than 8 or an SPF of 8 or less, so you might be getting more vitamin D, you are exposing yourself to more risk of skin cancer. Then I found this review article from 2013, and it's important to note that when we have a review article from a specific year, so this one is 2013, it means it took all of the studies prior to 2013 and assessed them in this study. It says sunscreen with an SPF of 30 applied properly, keyword properly, reduces the ability of the skin to produce vitamin D by 95 to 99%. If you saw the video featured in Mains by Mell's channel, by the way, link in the description, you might have noticed that I mentioned that sunscreen blocks our ability to produce vitamin D by 95%, and that's where I got that statistic from. The darker your skin, the more natural SPF you have, and the less efficient you will also be in producing that vitamin D. But, hold on to your hats here because things are about to get a little real. I found a 2019 review article from the British Journal of Medicine. By the way, shout out to my friend Eric who accessed this article for me because I couldn't access it online, but he accessed it through school and then sent me a PDF of it, so thank you. And this article looked at both observational and clinical trials. Majority of these observational studies did not find that vitamin D was decreased based on sunscreen use. However, it's kind of unclear how much SPF these groups were using and if they were applying it properly. Then there were 4 experimental studies that were analyzed. Everyone in these studies were white. the SPF that was given was between 8 and 50, so a really large range of SPFs here. Vitamin D did not increase with UVB exposure. In one of the studies, they saw that the more SPF 8 that they put on the skin and the thicker the application was, the less vitamin D was noted. They absorbed less and less vitamin D because they saw less and less vitamin D in their blood. As we can see, there are a lot of mixed results here. This study concluded that prior to 2019, there had been no randomized control trials of a sunscreen with a very high SPF, and it's plausible that that may influence vitamin D. Because remember, the higher the SPF, the more UVB rays are being blocked out and the less chance that vitamin D has of being absorbed. So they concluded that we need more research on this. This needs to be investigated in future trials. But in the meantime, this review article suggests that the risk of vitamin D deficiency due to sunscreen application is low and unlikely to outweigh the benefits of sunscreen for cancer prevention. Although we don't know how much vitamin D will be synthesized, whether that's enough, how much that will be produced, because remember, that's going to be based on a lot of different factors like the time of day, the season, the UVB radiation that's being emitted, and your skin color, and also whether or not you're applying that sunscreen properly and thoroughly. So because there's so many different factors that can be involved here, but we can deduce that perhaps the vitamin D that you will produce from the little bit of UVB rays that are coming through, even though you're wearing sunscreen, can possibly be enough in certain circumstances, while in other circumstances it may not be enough. I think the more important thing here, instead of trying to go round and round and try to answer this question, is to figure out, what the heck do we do now with this information? What do we do? Like, what can we take away from all this crazy mess of information? 1, wear sunscreen and wear it properly. Get a high enough SPF that is broad spectrum. 2, don't take vitamin D for granted and only rely on the sun as your way of getting it. So most people do have to take a vitamin D supplement because it's such an easy vitamin to be deficient in. The reason I say that is because, as you can see, very few foods naturally contain vitamin D. The flesh of fatty fish like trout, salmon, tuna, and mackerel have a lot of vitamin D, but for some reasons I wouldn't recommend relying on that either because number 1, poor fish, right? But number 2, we don't want that mercury level building up in our blood. Too much fish can increase our mercury level. So I don't actually recommend consuming high mercury fish at all. But with the low mercury fish, if you do have to eat fish, try not to have more than 12 ounces a week. So as you can see here, you can get vitamin D from food, but it's really difficult to get enough. So we need 400 to 800 IUs depending on our age, and it can be really difficult to hit that with food alone. The third thing that I would recommend is go to your doctor and get your levels checked. Do that before you start taking a vitamin D supplement because too much vitamin D in supplement form can cause nausea, it can cause constipation, it can cause vomiting, calcium loss from our bones. It can also cause calcium to build up on the kidneys and the heart. In general, for most people, about 400 IUs to 1,000 IUs a day of vitamin D in supplement form is generally safe, but see your doctor. Let me show you guys something. I have my blood work actually right here, and I just recently got my blood work done again because I was concerned about my vitamin D. This one is from September 2019, and then I have another one from January 2021. And I'm telling you guys, this is a super simple blood test. Like, you don't even have to fast. Just go in for your physical like you normally do, and then just ask your doctor, hey, can you check my vitamin D? To give you guys context here, in December 2019, was I vegan then? Yes, I was a vegan. And my vitamin D was low. It wasn't deficient, but it was low, which makes sense because I was taking 1,000 IUs very sporadically. I wasn't taking it every single day like I should have been. My vitamin D was 26 nanograms per milliliter, and the range, the reference range is 30 to 100. Oh, 100, that's a lot. Institute of Medicine recognizes a deficiency if you're under 20. Mine was 26, so I wasn't considered deficient, but look what happened here. Then in 2021, just recently, I got my blood work checked again for my vitamin D, and I had been a little bit more consistent with my 1,000 IUs a day, but still, let me be honest, I was not taking it every day religiously. And guess what? 24.7, it went even lower. Looking back too, I think it might have also gotten lower because around this time I had started wearing sunscreen on my face a lot more, and I really learned how to apply it properly and really, like, you know, get it on there. I definitely don't want it to drop anymore, and I have been super consistent now along with my B12. So, you know, we can't take it for granted. I'm gonna continue getting my physical exam every single year so I can get my vitamin D checked, because I do wanna keep a close eye on it. Based on your lab numbers, the doctor or a dietitian will be able to tell you how much IUs of vitamin D you should take to correct your deficiency or to correct a low number. As a matter of fact, do me a favor, after you finish watching this video, give your doctor a call. It's a simple call. You make that call to your doctor for your preventive care exam. Leave me the phone emoji in the comments. If you want to, you can let us know what your vitamin D level was, or if you were deficient, or if your vitamin D was good. By the way, you should definitely follow me on Instagram, because I post there regularly and give random nutrition tips if you like that stuff. Check out some of my other videos too. You might be interested in this one where I talk about vitamin D in detail. And I will see you guys in my next one. Yes, is this gonna work? Oh, might be a little awkward. Okay, all right, we are comfortable. My leg is falling asleep. God, they're so loud. I thought it was just gonna be bam, 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 here are the facts, there you go.